Metoda ISIS, wykorzystywana na całym świecie do efektywnego wdrażania zrównoważonego rozwoju w 2010 roku, trafiła również do Polski. Fundacja Sędzimira oraz Centrum Rozwiązań Systemowych, od wielu lat zajmujące się promowaniem zrównoważonego rozwoju w Polsce, przystąpiły do sieci AtKisson Group.
The AtKisson Group is a social enterprise, meaning that it's a company, but it's a company organized around a particular mission and a certain set of values and a code of ethics around accelerating sustainable development worldwide. We have three divisions or programs that we work on. One is our consulting work. That's called AtKisson Sustainability. We work with companies, cities, governments. Then there's a program called ISIS Academy. That's for professional development, training programs to help people become change agents. And then we have a program called Compass Education, working with universities and schools who are adapting ISIS and adopting it for work with their classrooms and their administrations. In Poland, we're very happy to have a relationship with the Sędzimir Foundation, Fundacja Sędzimira, as one of our affiliates, working to accelerate sustainable development in that context. By operating as a network, it means that our affiliates in Poland can gain the insight and inspiration from our colleagues in Southeast Asia who have been working with these tools for some years, and exchange information with our new French affiliate, for example. And then we're putting that, the power of networking to work for sustainable development on this platform of being, again, a social enterprise committed to doing something for the common good, but doing it in a business context.
Fundacja Sędzimira jako przedstawiciel AtKisson Group w Polsce oferuje szeroki zakres usług szkoleniowo-doradczych z wykorzystaniem narzędzi ISIS kierowanych do firm, organizacji i samorządów. Skuteczność poszczególnych narzędzi sprawdziliśmy już we współpracy z gminą Zawoja, w trakcie Akademii Letniej w Mogilanach oraz realizując szkolenia dla firm i organizacji pozarządowych w Polsce. Na czym polega metoda oraz jakie korzyści wiążą się z wykorzystaniem narzędzi ISIS, opowie nam jej twórca Alan AtKisson. A ilustracją dla jego słów będzie proces budowania piramidy przez uczestników kursu Wyzwania zrównoważonego rozwoju w Polsce w 2010 roku.
Well, doing sustainability is complex by definition. So you need a kind of a roadmap that will take you step by step through the process, and that can involve a lot of other people effectively in that process. So ISIS was created out of a need to make that complexity simple or simpler, more simple. Times when it is, I think, a particularly good choice. Those include when you really must work in a sort of whole system way, where you really must involve lots of people, and where you have a specific issue maybe that involves lots of people and that you really must show some results on. For example, greenhouse gas emissions. ISIS has been used a lot for cities and towns that are trying to look at climate change strategy, because it affects everything. It affects their energy systems, their transport systems, water use, education, the health of the people. And it's a very specific and concrete outcome. Or land use planning. We've used it in the Baltic states as a tool for helping people come to new understandings about how to do land use planning, spatial planning as it's also called here. So in those contexts, ISIS is particularly good. And a third, I'll say, and then that's enough for the moment maybe, is when you are in a hurry. And frankly, more and more we are in a hurry these days. We're in a hurry both in the global sense, and even our communities are often in a hurry to get something moving, to get something done. There's a reason why we call our tool set the ISIS Accelerator, because we're trying to make this process of understanding the situation, understanding why it's happening, and choosing good strategies for intervention. We're trying to help it go faster, but go faster in a way that is still anchored in strong understanding and good consensus among the participants. So those are some situations where I would say it's particularly useful.
One of the things that we do within the ISIS process is allow people to wear different shoes. So instead of you being a business person and only thinking in the context of a business person, you can now sit in the position of an environmentalist and get to see what that environmentalist might be thinking. So I think one of the advantages of this process is that it allows people to see the impacts of their particular area of focus, how it impacts the rest of the region, the rest of society. I think that was really advantageous. One of the other advantages is it's fun. The process it takes a lot of complex science, it takes complex strategic planning, and it puts it into a fun, hands-on methodology that gives people a chance to sort of loosen their tie a bit and be creative because they can sit down, talk about complex issues, but do it in a way that's still an artistic expression as well.
Proces planowania zrównoważonego rozwoju wymaga udziału szerokiej grupy interesariuszy. Wybranie ich i zaproszenie do wspólnego stołu może być pewnym wyzwaniem.
How do you get people to come together in the first place? That's always the hard thing. The term sustainability means a lot of things to a lot of different people. A business person might see it as an environmentalist's word, which is going to hurt their business. So the real challenge is getting people together. How do you bring people together from different backgrounds to talk about an issue that could mean something different to each group? One of the hardest parts of doing any strategic plan, whether it's just the process of planning or actually creating a plan, the difficult thing about that is actually putting it into practice. So you can create a plan, a 200-page report that says exactly what you're going to do, but unless you have buy-in, ownership from the different stakeholders, you're not going to be able to make that successful. So one of the things I would suggest to people trying to do this is to ensure that they truly select a stakeholder group that represents the different sectors of society.
Akcelerator ISIS to zestaw narzędzi, które w efektywny i efektowny sposób pomagają prowadzić partycypacyjne procesy planowania zrównoważonego rozwoju. Należą do nich kompas, piramida, ameba i stratosfera. Kompas wykorzystujemy na początku procesu ISIS.
We begin by taking a look first at the information, the indicators as we call them. That's the first I in ISIS, having to do with what's happening in the community, in the company, in the university, whatever entity we're working with. And that's an opportunity for people to work together in a way that doesn't require that they like each other, doesn't require that they already agree on what should be done or what the problems are. It just is an opportunity to come to agreement on what's happening, what really is the situation, what should we be measuring to know whether we're heading in the right direction. That's step one in ISIS. Indicators don't have to be about robust data sets. They can be adequately created by a well-facilitated process of gathering people's experience. And you'll find very quickly that people do have a good sense of this. And then that can maybe become the basis for more research later on if you really need it. But you don't need to get stuck on the idea that you have to have lots of good statistics to do indicators. You just need people and their experience as a starting point. Let me give you an example. In the European context, if you talk to farmers, they know what's going on in terms of the change in trends around their markets, the access to the resources that they need. If you talk to young people, they know what the job situation is, regardless of what the official unemployment figures might say. So it's also possible to make indicators out of talking with people and gathering information.
Najważniejsze wskaźniki z 4 obszarów odpowiadających 4 kierunkom świata na kompasie: środowiska, gospodarki, jakości życia i kwestii społecznych stanowią dół piramidy, symbolicznego narzędzia facylitacji grupowego procesu pracy nad strategią zrównoważonego rozwoju.
The second step is systems thinking, where we use the information we've gathered as the basis for finding the cause and effect relationships, and the causes of the causes, and the effects of the effects, and then how those things might link up together in vicious cycles or virtuous cycles, the destructive or creative loops of activity that we can get involved in and get trapped in. that allows us to then find the most important places for intervention in these systems, whether they're communities or cities or companies.
Zidentyfikowane punkty wzmocnienia, miejsca w systemie, w których nasze działania mogą być najbardziej efektywne, stanowią kolejne piętro piramidy.